Welcome to episode 3, coming to you live from Los Angeles, April 5th, 2021, and I'm finally back on track with my podcast, and I'm really delighted to do so. And this episode is very special because it's titled, What is Mindful Pro? Many of you have been listening to my Mindful-CPA episodes from 2020. Have been following me on my website and through the webinars that I've been leading throughout the country, nationally, on the web, etc. And we've always referred to my website and everything I do as Mindful-CPA because that was the original intent. But over time, we've had so many requests from organizations and from companies that would like to learn about mindfulness in the corporate world, in the small business world, in entrepreneurships and startups, above and beyond my immediate audience of CPAs. And so today I have revamped my website, and it is now called Mindful-CPA Mindful Pro. And this podcast has been retitled as well as Mindful-CPA Mindful Pro. And the intent here is to work on 2 tracks. One track will be all my offerings that I offer specifically to the public accounting industry. And the second track will be to professionals that work in corporate environments, small businesses, entrepreneurships, startups. And what's going to be really cool about this is, of course, there's a lot of synergy between the 2 programs. There's a lot of stuff that is common in terms of mental strategies, in terms of just really good tools to use, including the compass of mindfulness and the mindfulness practices that I will be talking about in my future podcasts and certainly in my webinars that I lead. But what's awesome about this is that now I can reach a larger audience, and you can be part of this greater audience as well. So, what is Mindful Pro and why have I introduced this? Well, like I said, a lot of requests, a lot of real energy in the space of mindfulness and of our approach at Mindful-CPA and Mindful Pro to bring practical tools to enhance focus, innovation, balance, and peace. And that really is the goal, to bring mindfulness as a key tool to add to the toolkit for the professional, both in the work and personal environment. I work with a lot of organizations where there's some CPAs and that there's also attorneys and there's other folks that work there. And so this is going to be largely applicable to any audience that's really interested in mindfulness. What you'll also notice is my logo has changed on the website, and I've also now started publishing regular logs, as I call them. And so these logs will be published every Sunday, and they will show up on Monday in your LinkedIn feeds, or if you're following me on my website, certainly you can look them up there as well. I've got a newsletter that I intend to publish once a month, and so if you've signed up for my newsletter, you will only get it once a month and not any more frequently, because I want to keep all of this limited and manageable. And you will also see a page on memes that I publish every Wednesday that I push out on Facebook and on LinkedIn and on my website as well. So it's been a very, very interesting time for Mindful-CPA and for Mindful Pro and for me in the space of learning. Last year when the pandemic started, we all thought, where are we going to go? There's no travel anymore. What's going to happen to the world of education, training, etc.? And once you know it, how quickly did we all adapt in terms of online learning, whether it's Zoom or it's Teams or it's Google or it's WebEx or it's BlueJean or it's, Adobe Connect. It's pretty darn amazing how quickly we could reach audiences. And since last April, in the space of mindfulness, working with Thomson Reuters, working with Spidell, working with 2020 services, we've managed to reach an audience probably close to 3,000 people now, and it's been very, very exciting. The big play right now is to introduce a summer series in terms of a 4-session, 2-hour webinars every week, so a total of 8 hours of CPE if you are a CPA. That'll be titled the Mindful-CPA, and then also the Mindful Pro, same deal there. It'll be a 4-week program, 2 hours each week, every Friday, let's say, and a total of 8 hours, and it'll be the Mindful Pro Summer Series. And as soon as I get the dates finalized, I will be pushing all this information out via a podcast, via a newsletter, and of course on my website as well. So if you're looking for 8 hours of CPE, whether you're a CPA or you're a pro in some other field, just feel free to write to me, to contact us on the website, and I'll be happy to send you information. So let's talk a little bit about Mindful Pro and what does pro really mean? Pro. The way I look at it is when I refer to pro, it refers to the mindful professional. And then I also like to use the word pro as in your ability to become a pro in using mindfulness as a tool to, again, enhance focus, innovation, balance, and certainly peace. As we get through this pandemic, and I certainly hope many of you are starting to get vaccinated, certainly your loved ones hopefully are vaccinated as well, think about how resilient we've all really become. Here we are as a world, as a country, resilient. We've had losses. A lot of you have lost loved ones. I know that. I personally have lost some relatives that were close to me to COVID. But here we are, we adapted, we managed, and we're going to get past this. And so it's been a very interesting time when you think about mindfulness as it applies to the professional environment as well. And if you think about it, the way I like to talk about pro, and I'm a wordsmith and I like using words, and so when I think about the word pro, P-R-O, I'm also going to use it for a few other definitions. When you think about the current state of being a pro, I look at maybe some of us who haven't had a chance to practice mindfulness as being pressured, as being restless, and as being overwhelmed, the P-R-O. Now, wouldn't it be cool if we can convert this old P-R-O to a new PRO that would be present, ready, and optimized. Present with awareness, ready with energy, and optimized with complete openness. And so that's the real track here about the Mindful Pro that we will be discussing over the next several months and that I will be leading webinars on. And I'm going to also introduce you to a pro mindfulness practice, which would really stand for prepare, rewire, and open. And when I use the word rewire, it sounds rather technical, but I think it perhaps will sound, something relatable, and I think it'll sit well with many professionals because that's what really mindfulness is all about. The practice of mindfulness is all about rewiring our brain, both chemically, physically, and certainly psychologically, to where we divert our attention and rewire our brain to where all the energy in our brain goes away from our old brain, if you want to call it that, the reptilian brain or the limbic brain, where we are fighting and flighting or where we are reacting emotionally, but rather it goes to our prefrontal cortex, which is right behind your right side of the forehead, where logic, wisdom, patience, pause, all these things really, really come in handy. And as professionals, I think one of the greatest challenges that many of us have, and I've had especially through this pandemic, is just that notion of how do we react to constantly changing phenomena. Things have changed so rapidly for us, and they changed quickly at the beginning of the pandemic, they changed throughout the pandemic, they are changing today. And so how do we deal with change? How do we cope with this change? And how do we proactively react versus reactively react? So that's what Mindful Pro is really all about. In my next episode, episode 4, I'm actually going to be recording a pro-guided 8-minute mindfulness practice. And so if you are a person interested in mindfulness, you're more than welcome to listen to episode 4, which I will record this week. And that'll be something that you can use as a guide for the 8-hour practice. And if you are a CPA, you're welcome to continue using episode 1, where I've recorded the CPA mindfulness practice. Essentially, the practices are the same. I've just named them different terms only so that you can remember quite easily, depending on who you are. So if you're a CPA, it's going to be construct, practice, and awaken. And if you're a pro, it's going to be prepare, rewire, and open yourself to the learnings that you get from all of this work that we're going to be doing in the space of mindfulness. So this is going to be a short episode. I just wanted to quickly announce the starting of the Mindful Pro and all the work that I'll be doing in that space. And I certainly hope you join me on another episode of our podcast, which is now titled The Mindful-CPA, The Mindful Pro. So everybody take care, and we will talk to you soon.